What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And I mentioned in my last video that I will be back very soon, and here I am with another video about Metroid Prime 4. And this is an awesome update I think you guys will be very excited about, because there's some really interesting information going on here with Retro Studios and with Metroid Prime 4 and the future of Retro Studios as well. So if you're interested in Metroid Prime 4 information, you've come to the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and as well, if you're interested in Metroid Prime content, you will be very interested to check out my live channel, which I'll leave a link in the description. I'm doing a Metroid Prime Trilogy series weekly. We are playing through the entire trilogy of Metroid Prime on the live channel. You definitely want to be a part of that if you are a Metroid Prime fan. I'm doing a giveaway for a $50 Amazon gift card when we hit our first goal, which is going to be very soon at 500 subscribers. And then when we hit 1,000 subscribers in that live channel, I'll be giving away 2 $50 Amazon gift cards. I definitely want to make you guys aware of that. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe to that live channel and you will automatically qualify to be a winner of one of those prizes. And we will also be doing more giveaways in the future, including for Metroid Prime Trilogy when it does get re-released and remastered, and of course for Metroid Prime 4 if there's any special editions. I will be definitely doing a giveaway for that. You want to be subscribed to that live channel and to this channel for more details when those things do come about. So with Metroid Prime 4, we are now in April and we're getting very close to that summer time frame where Nintendo usually previews and highlights their big heavy hitters for the rest of the year. Now of course, like I've been talking about before, I don't expect Metroid Prime 4 to be released in 2022. I'm expecting more of a latter half of a 2023 release for Metroid Prime 4. However, in 2022, it would make sense for Nintendo to release the Metroid Prime Trilogy in its remastered glory. So hopefully we get some type of announcement, possibly in summer to fall time frame, for a Metroid Prime Trilogy remaster for the Nintendo Switch, and then that would pave the way for Metroid Prime 4 to be previewed and a new trailer to be released, and to the eventual release of that game, because that is the grand big game that we're looking forward to for many years now, ever since it was announced in 2017. And I'm sure a lot of you are very excited to finally see that game, especially from the interesting hints from Retro Studios that we've been seeing in the past few months, especially from their Twitter page, which has led to a lot of discussion from that last video that we did regarding that. Now, during all that excitement that we've been talking about, Retro Studios has also been very busy in preparing Metroid Prime 4, and there's some new information we're going to be discussing about that, and the possibility that this game is extremely close to being finished or towards the finish line of their production, because of what they're now starting to develop for is extremely telling on the future of where Retro Studios is going. Interestingly enough, Metroid Prime 4 right now is in the prime, quote-unquote, development time period, and they have officially brought onto their team to help develop Metroid Prime 4, confirmed Metroid Prime 4 by the way. This developer, his name is Nick Todd. He comes from Panic Button. So Nintendo and Panic Button have had a very good relationship over the years. Panic Button has been responsible for some of the absolute best third-party AAA ports on the Nintendo Switch. Nick Todd was hired to come on from Panic Button at the very end of 2021 to begin here in 2022 at Retro Studios as an art producer for Metroid Prime 4. However, his qualifications and background are extremely interesting with Panic Button, and some of the games you'll recognize very clearly from what he had a direct influence on, and those are the Doom 3 port on the Nintendo Switch, Skyrim Anniversary Edition, Jedi Fallen Order on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, Forza Horizon 4 on the Xbox Series consoles, Torchlight 2 on the Nintendo Switch, Wolfenstein Youngblood on the Nintendo Switch, and of course Doom Eternal on the Nintendo Switch. And his job at Panic Button, interestingly enough, was not art producer. He was actually one of the lead producers at Panic Button, and some of the job duties he even described in his profile as what he was responsible for was a lot of planning and bug triaging on these games and these ports, basically getting them up to snuff and running really well. It was one of the main things he was key as being a part of with Panic Button, and no doubt it showed in the quality of those ports on the Nintendo Switch. Most of the Panic Button ports on the Switch are some of the best they can possibly be due to the amount of time and effort that was put into them. And their expertise with the Switch no doubt got Retro Studios' attention. Now they have brought him on to the team to help work on the Nintendo Switch version of Metroid Prime 4. Now I say the Nintendo Switch version because I do expect there to be a cross-gen release for Metroid Prime 4, and I can't think of a better person than from Panic Button, because they've had so much experience as a team in porting over games to the Nintendo Switch that might seem impossible to the gamer. However, they have made the impossible possible, and Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a huge game, and it has the potential to be the biggest as far as graphical scope that the Nintendo Switch has ever seen. So this is an extremely good hire for Retro Studios, and I'm sure you guys are really excited to have someone from Panic Button working on Metroid Prime 4 on the Nintendo Switch. It's a perfect fit in my opinion. And combined with that, with the last video we talked about FSR technology that Nintendo is using and third party is now using as well for these ports on the Switch, getting a game like Metroid Prime 4 to run at a good frame rate and higher fidelity, something like FSR 2.0 being used by Retro Studios to help with the performance of the Nintendo Switch version of Metroid Prime 4. Since we already know for a fact that the Nintendo Switch itself cannot do any form of DLSS, it makes a lot of sense for Nintendo to adopt FSR like what they already are doing with third party and with first party. This is going to be an extremely ambitious game for the Nintendo Switch. It's going to need all the tricks, all the bells and whistles possible to get this game looking as good as it can. They could theoretically target a 540p image docked for the Nintendo Switch using FSR 2.0 to make it upscale to something like 900p and have it look basically the same, because as we saw with the examples of FSR 2.0, the quality difference is extremely minimal. You can barely tell the difference at all between native and FSR 2.0. It's that impressive. So I could definitely see them doing something like that with Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch, still having a very sharp image, while obviously probably downgraded on certain things that they won't be able to accomplish on the Switch by that time in 2023, when my guess is when they're going to try to release this game, and most likely a next generation Nintendo Switch with Metroid Prime 4 running at maximum settings, maximum frame rate, maximum resolution on that platform. This would be the best way to do it in my opinion, and also to have the Nintendo Switch version of the game looking as good as it can to sell as many copies as it can, because this game still needs to sell really well on the Nintendo Switch due to that large install base. Nintendo can't simply just ignore the current Nintendo Switch user base, because they'll be missing out on a really big opportunity to sell a lot more copies and also to push the Metroid Prime series to greater heights and success, and that's exactly where we want it to go. And with the excellent developers at Retro Studios, no doubt if anyone could pull that off, it would be them. And similar things have worked out already recently with good results for games like Horizon Forbidden West, which targeted a lower resolution and lower frame rate on the PS4 version and higher fidelity and higher frame rate on the PS5 version, with them looking very similar in terms of their quality. Besides that, I could definitely see something similar going on with Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch, and on top of that, it would be a very nice send-off for the Nintendo Switch to head into the next generation, with Metroid Prime 4 being that perfect example of the pinnacle of what the Nintendo Switch could possibly do at that point, and then going on to the next generation with Metroid Prime 4 on the next generation Switch, Switch 2, showing the possibilities of where we go from here and the future of Nintendo and Metroid Prime going forward. It's extremely exciting to think about. And even though I'm a strong believer that we will see something with Metroid Prime this year, we may not see Metroid Prime 4 until later on in 2022, because we still need to see Metroid Prime Trilogy, I would think, first before they show Metroid Prime 4. Now obviously that's not an absolute must. They could show Metroid Prime 4 first and then Metroid Prime Trilogy later. It just makes more sense, at least from my point of view, that they would show a Metroid Prime Trilogy remaster first before they do actually show Metroid Prime 4 in at least a teaser fashion, which basically they've already teased Metroid Prime 4 in their concept art on Retro Studios' Twitter profile just a few months ago, which is extremely exciting, of course. But I am in a very strong belief that Metroid Prime 4 is in fact in the final stages of development because of the recent hiring that Retro Studios just did for a contractor by the name of Andrew Faithful. And he actually previously and currently still works for the Coalition Studio, which is the current developer of the Gears of War series for Xbox. And to go along with that, he's also contracting for the PUBG Corporation, both of which are for creature designer. So he could be hired on right now for Retro Studios to work on that brand new game that they are developing that we talked about a few months ago. Retro Studios is starting a brand new 3D action adventure game that they're just now concepting for. This hire looks very much like he could be the person who is helping to concept art some creatures for this new and upcoming game. They're also hiring for a system designer at Retro Studios to help assist them in development of AI for said 3D action adventure title by conceiving of original concepts and identifying opportunities to enhance existing content. So they are actually hiring for this in a concept stage right now for this systems designer, and obviously this would not be for Metroid Prime 4. Development of AI concepts for testing out things would not be something that they would be doing right now. That would have been something they would have done in late 2018 or early 2019 when they got the development go ahead from Nintendo to start Metroid Prime 4. This definitely looks like they're planning for the future, and a lot of times what happens is with these development teams, they have certain people who are done with certain aspects of their game, like for example Metroid Prime 4. Most likely a lot of their team is done with their part of that game, and they're now on to different phase of Metroid Prime 4, the end game so to speak. They would have to have different developers handle that part of it. So where does Retro Studios go with the other parts of their development team? Well, they go ahead and start planning for their new game, which is exactly what it looks like they're doing here by developing for this new 3D action adventure game. That way when Metroid Prime 4 does finally ship and release, they already are well in advance on their next project, and then at that point it wouldn't take anywhere near as long, you would hope at least, for that next project to finally be released if they're planning it and already starting it right now. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Are you expecting to see Metroid Prime Trilogy later this year to be revealed and then released on the Nintendo Switch, a remastered version with enhanced graphics, possibly even using Retro Studios' new engine? And in fact, I'm kind of expecting Metroid Prime Trilogy to actually be already done and just ready to be shown at this point. So basically when Nintendo does reveal Metroid Prime Trilogy, I'm personally expecting a finished product and a release of those games very close, within even maybe a few months from when they announce it to release. Metroid Prime 4 though is the one that's going to take a bit longer, of course, because it is the big game that Retro Studios has been working on and putting all their eggs in the basket for that release, which I'm expecting, like I said, towards the end possibly or middle point of 2023. So later on in 2022, hopefully we do get a reveal trailer for Metroid Prime 4, but not before, in my opinion, like I said, the reveal of Metroid Prime Trilogy. And then once we see that, it's off and running. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy this, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. And I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.